Hello and welcome to DanWhiteBooks, where we review books new and old, with today's book being Blindness, a 1995 novel by Nobel Prize-winning Portuguese author José Saramago. Now, the COVID-19 pandemic may seem like a distant memory, although one that no doubt still evokes poignant emotions for us all. It was a time of isolation and in many ways of loneliness as we were helpless to watch the disease slowly crawl across the globe. José Saramago's Blindness is a book that also talks of the spread of a disease known informally as white blindness. However, whereas COVID-19 affected the lungs of its hosts, the unknown disease in blindness affected a person's eyes. In an instant, they are struck blind and can see nothing but a bright white light. At its root, Blindness is a tale of morality, survival, and human nature where the daily comforts of society have collapsed. The very name serves as a metaphor where not only are people blind to see, but they are also blind to the consequences and the suffering of others. This is a dark and gritty tale, detailing a group of people who were among the first to contract the deadly disease that later spreads across the country. As panic ensues, the infected are rounded up and sent to a disused mental asylum, a place that soon becomes a battleground for food, water, and other sinister human desires. The main character in this work is known as the doctor's wife, an ophthalmologist who quickly succumbs to blindness when inspecting the eyes of another. Despite using scientific instruments, the doctor can see no fault with the infected's eyes. Later at home, the doctor is struck blind, seeing only a piercing white light. He is later rounded up and sent to an asylum where his wife follows. Despite claiming she is blind, she lies in the hope of helping her husband. Let's pause and ask a question. How would you feel if such a pandemic was sweeping across your country? Think for a moment and feel your emotions. People are turning blind. Feel your emotions, because that very fear you're likely feeling is the same one that drives the characters in this work for better and for worse. When the blind are rounded up and put into this asylum, they are very fearful. They're forced into this asylum. They're helpless, and it soon becomes apparent that the outside world cares very little for them. Slowly a structure forms, but it is divided down the middle. The doctor's wife, unlike all else, can see the true horror unfolding around her. José Saramago describes in detail the filth in the asylum. The filth was indescribable. The stench was unbearable. The flies were everywhere. The latrines had overflowed. The corridors were full of excrement. The blind internees had to walk through it. Feeling their way with their hands and feet, they slipped and fell. They got up, covered in shit. They went on. This book succeeds remarkably well in putting you as the reader in the shoes of these blind people, and in particular in the shoes of the doctor's wife. This part of the novel confronts our will to survive. When the chips are down and a person's life is at stake, they will be pushed to the extremes. Whereas some seek power and control, others look for order and show compassion to those who are suffering more. This book reveals how people can behave when the safety net of society comes crashing down and when action and consequence are far less clear. One of the distinctive features of Blindness by José Saramago is the author's use of long sentences and the absence of character names. The author uses some of the longest sentences I have ever read, which add to the sheer chaos and confusion of the new inmates in the asylum. The author reveals no character names, only descriptions such as the doctor's wife, the boy with the squint, or the dog of tears. This creates a sense of anonymity and loss of identity that reflects the impact of the blindness epidemic on society. The author challenges the reader to imagine a world where sight is no longer reliable or meaningful. He also shows the perspective of a blind world through the eyes of a person who can see, and asks the question, would you even want to? This is a book that was recommended to me late one evening, and I have no memory of who recommended it, but I would like to say thank you. This book is an incredibly deep look into morality, resilience, and that quintessential human trait we call hope. It is a bitter pill to swallow and details graphic scenes, do be warned. The writing style can be difficult with long sentences and a lack of punctuation marks. I would not wish to write this book, but reading it is an enlightening experience. This book makes you realise quite how good we have it. If civilization collapsed, the darker side of human nature would undoubtedly come forth. We are civil people, but when our own lives are at stake, we show a remarkable resilience. If anything, this resilience is captured beautifully in this book, and despite some of the more graphic scenes, there is a clear underpinning of hope. Even in the darkest of circumstances, people push on, and they do that better together than they ever can on their own. My friends, thank you very much for watching this book review, and please pick up this book. It's quite deep, it's quite powerful, but do be warned, it talks of some graphic scenes, so definitely not one for the kids, let's put it that way, but the whole message of the work and the writing style is quite beautiful, so please be sure to check this out. Thank you again for watching this book review. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.